What's going on, my creative collective? Welcome to your daily creative reading for August 12th. It is early in the morning here on the 12th. And yeah, let's just dive in. Okay, you can kind of hear the trains. Much like roosters, they signal that it is it is early. Okay, Spirit, what messages do you have for my daily creatives, please? I feel this like change of season, and it's starting to happen here. Like I can feel it in my bones. Like I'm quite connected to the seasons and the landscape of the green belt, and with it's where I live, and in Ontario that is. And it's like you can see the leaves starting to have this yellow tinge to them, or this reddish fiery tinge to them, the maples and things like that. The birch trees have that silver, where they get that silver birch. 111 was just on the time, right? So it's like the seasons are changing, and it's just this subtle way that happens, and I found myself last night and the night before just listening to the crickets in the evening and thinking to myself, midwinter, when there's the first snowstorm, after Christmas, I find, right? And it's like it's like that first snowstorm. It's like I think to myself sometimes, like, oh, I miss the signs of that season. I miss the just the subtleties of it, right? Listening to leaves blow in the wind, and how the trees make a sound other than this howl in winter, right? So yeah, just it's like these subtle signs of the season. And sometimes I've taken recordings of that just for myself, not for affirmation videos or anything, just to keep for myself, to have. And it's almost like it's not quite a nostalgia, but what I'm getting is this sort of like end of the season, and like finding ways to preserve what we loved about it. And maybe that's like I'm seeing a lot of things like with cycles and cycling out, and with the full moon as well. It could be, but we'll dive in here. So you are magical. I'll read that one first, and then let's grab this here. And this one says, hope floats. Okay, so let's read this here. Dear you, what is true for you? Can you be impeccable with your word? Sure you can. As long as it's not used to manipulate others, the truth can set everyone free. Let go of the results, let go of your fears, and allow the truth to empower you and others. This will set into motion a kind of change that will be supportive of you and loving and all kinds of prosperous. This is not a time to compromise and hide your truth from others. Whatever it is you want, go for it, and be clear in your motives. So be clear in your motives, especially with yourself. You'll be so happy you did. This is a time where you will tap into the power to co-create and manifest your best life. Doesn't that feel amazing? And the results? Miraculous. When you tell the truth and ask the same of others, you can learn a lot from life's bountiful lessons and achieve your dreams. Love you always. Interesting. So a lot about words. A lot about words. Words releasing. Maybe releasing some words. Releasing a vocabulary of success, I'm hearing. The beauty of that, though, is that you welcome in a new one, right? So let's see where this takes us today. Spirit, what messages do you have for my daily creatives for August 12th? So we have the Four of Swords and the Four of Pentacles. A lot of protected energy, but not with good reason. I think the call to adventure is very interesting today. The call to adventure here. Seven of Cups. The Fool. Yeah, that very interesting call to adventure. Oh, so good. I think it's like, which way do you pick? I think that this reflects you having done the work of healing, and also taking a step back to evaluate what you offer and what you receive, and how you do that as well. And I think the call to adventure here is this beautiful. I feel like there's a new beginning, but there's not really too many wrong choices. The Seven of Cups tends to mean an abundance of options, a wealth of options. Yeah. But I feel like you're good, right? Like the split was the Empress and the Nine of Pentacles, which is the Nine of Pentacles is like pre-Empress energy, and then you have the Empress as well. I feel like I want that here based on how that feels. And the Page of Cups. Three of Wands, Seven of Wands. I feel like if you hold yourself back, because I feel like there was something about this time that you spent, like this is kind of tells the story of where you've been, right? Leading up to the call to adventure for today and energetically speaking. And I feel like the Four of Pentacles tells me that there's a way that you held back, but it was in order to, I guess, the way I look at this is like disciplined dreaming within your means, because you understand that there's something to be said for building from that. Like this, it's the Four of Pentacles is often seen in the traditional Rider-Waite as like the miser, right? But I see this as more of like not withholding to push away. It's withholding because there's something that you're dreaming up that's bigger. And the healing here, it's like healing that dream, right? Healing that dream, feathering your nest. The thing that could become a tower if it goes unchecked is the Page of Cups here, which to me is really interesting because I feel like it's this, like staying connected to your innocence a little bit. It's also a card of like, curiosity, a little bit of wonder, possibly flirting with life a little bit. I think flirting with ideas. The reason why I say ideas is because the Three of Wands is here in your protagonist position, which means that if you are flirting with an idea or some thought about something, it's a really good time to do that. I get the impression it might be a bit of, it's like putting plans into action. Yeah, there's a lot of like dreaming, High Priestess as well. Like I'm getting this kind of dreamy energy, but I think too that you have to understand that the reason why the Seven of Wands is possibly showing up in the antagonist position is because if you dream too much, you can become defensive, of like, I want to say of like not choosing, but it's like the way this is coming across here with these wands is like you can become a bit defensive of following passion, of following something that is that opens up a path. And the Fool is here in your energy in this call to adventure, which tells me that you have that sort of new start mind right now. So I think it's like it's understanding how you can be temporarily closed off, but I think this is more reparative and restorative energy, if I'm being completely honest, whereas this is a little bit more boundaried, from a different energy, right? It's like closed off to your creativity, or you're advocating so much, right? This is the Seven of Wands is like an advocacy card, right? You're standing up for the underdog, but it's like if you're in that energy too much, you're unable to access a different part of your creativity as per the wands in general, and that's how it's really coming across here. So I think the reason why this could become a tower if it goes unchecked in the Page of Cups is that it's almost like if you come from experience, that's an amazing thing, but what does your experience inflect your ideas with? Does it inflect it with a curiosity and a let's see what that can do? Or does it inflect it with this sort of anchored in never going to do this. It'll never work, right? Speaking in absolutes as opposed to speaking in more flexible renderings of potential, which is what I think the call is here. Because you've done the healing work to get whatever this represents in terms of work or creative ideas, relationship. I feel like you've done a lot of work to get to a point where you're able to receive. Yeah, you've done a lot of work. And I feel like there's something to do with fate here. Like the hardest part is beyond its past. So it's kind of like letting it be in the past, where it's like this reminds me of that advocacy energy. Like if your energy is caught up in fighting too much, that's the challenge. The challenge is seeing the Jupiter of things, is seeing the grace, the expansion of things, as opposed to seeing the conflict or the need for that. Eight of Wands, yeah. So I think that's the challenge, is seeing that your effort for this next part of the journey is not necessarily required in the same way, right? The Five of Swords can be competition, win at all costs. It can also just be a way that we operate from ego, where why do we need to win? What's the outcome? Like, what's the point, right? And I feel like in this Jupiter energy with the wheel, this is not only like cyclical conclusions, again, with that season thing, right? Like, just capturing the sounds of the season where you are and appreciating it for what it is. I feel like that's kind of where you've been. And now it's like there's a mobilization. Like it's like there's a next step. And now what? And oh wow, so on the bottom was the sun. Yeah, I feel like the now what is like you're moving towards something much more, I want to say stable. I want to say stable because the sun is the kind of happiness that's sustainable and also stable, right? Consistency. This isn't like a fleeting moment that just disappears and then it gets to hard again. This is like something that's laying the framework and the groundwork. And I feel like you're moving more towards that kind of happiness. Spirit, what additional messages do you have for my daily creatives? The High Priestess. Wow. Yeah, I feel like your intuition is not just active, but I think I'm hearing instrumental and at the core. Like it's turning, we wouldn't think that intuition would make something concrete because it's so abstract a thing, right? But I feel like this is an energy of drawing the heavens down into whatever you're doing. That's really interesting. Drawing the heavens down into whatever you're doing. Seven of Pentacles. Maybe you can't really see the payoff for your hard work yet. It is coming though. Wow. I feel like it's not just that you're manifesting things with creative projects and work. I see here like, the reason why I say that is I see the Lover's card, Justice, and I also see the Queen of Cups and the Moon. Like you can't see what rewards you will reap from this, but I feel like they will be in greater number. Whoa, this is like a little bit wonky. There we go. They'll be there in greater number than what you might anticipate, and I feel like it's sort of being inside integrity with yourself when you get connected emotionally, because it doesn't just bring in relationships and partnerships. It also helps you decide, because this is a choice card, right? Usually it's a choice in relationships, but I feel like there's stuff that you haven't been letting yourself see, because there's a lot of closed eyes here, right? Like the moon is that illusion energy. I feel though like you're being pulled out of that. Like there's this rise to the surface, right? Like the bubbles on the surface before you break through. Because it's like all of these cards have like to a degree closed eyes. And it's not that you've been closed to anything in particular. I think this just denotes an internal process, which would make sense in the context of the High Priestess being very prominent after this challenge that you're facing. And I think that this is something that is not only going to last for the long term, but I feel like you've been going through a time that's been a test of your patience. It's been a bit of a test of your patience, and you've had to rely on a lot of inner wisdom But I think it's important to know that the roots of whatever it is that you're growing right now, be it a project, a relationship, friendship even, right? It's coming to a point of it may look like a small yield, but those are really strong roots, right? And it's important to remember that, like, ideas are deeply rooted, you are deeply rooted, and it's not like rooted in a way that is disconnected from growth. Um, but the other thing to keep in mind too is that this growth is not bound by a pot, right? So it's not root bound, it's not anything like that. It's like it has the room to grow. And I think that's another thing that I really like about this rendering of the Seven of Pentacles is that it is a lot of hard work and waiting, yes, but there's so much freedom to grow in that, right? There's a lot of growth that can come because of the period of waiting. And I feel like the waiting period brought all of these things to the fore. A lot to do with emotions, dreams, things you're really wanting to manifest. Questioning how inside integrity you are with yourself and what you want, your behaviors, your connections. It's not just about planning for the future, but it's laying the emotional foundation and the energetic foundation too with the psychic energy. And, you know, cups can represent that as well. But I feel like it's like laying the foundation. You could be calling in a partner. I'm hearing one hell of a soulmate. You know, one hell of a soulmate. We have Gemini and Libra energy here. And the moon, you know, I think of it as alluding to Pisces and Cancer energy, or sort of operating in the orbit of, and a lot of the themes of that, but they're not, it's not specifically those ones, but nonetheless. Yeah. So we have 3 sevens here as well. And it's interesting that it's part of the call to adventure, part of the antagonist position, and how you come out the other side. So I think there's something about this process that you've been going through that it's like it touches all of the aspects of both the beginning, some of the challenges, and then how you come out the other side. So if you are feeling like you may not be led or guided, I'm here to tell you you are. Also because of the 4-4 repeating as well. So let's clarify some of these things here. I feel like it's just telling a brief story of, like there are very real reasons why you should be feeling encouraged right now. There are very real reasons. What is my cat doing? Oh, she's right there. She's in the window up there. But yeah, I feel like there are very real reasons why you should be encouraged with your path. If you're feeling discouraged, I would recommend finding ways to be grateful for where you are, because I feel like there's a lot coming, and it's not like it's gonna come if you do the right thing. It's on its way, but it's like, how are you gonna make that? Are you gonna turn that into a job, or are you gonna, and not job as in like work, like something that is arduous for you, or is it gonna be in flow? Like it's like there's ways that this can be approached. Divine timing is a trip every time. Oh my God, every single time. Spirit, what messages do you have to clarify this reading? Can you ground this in some specifics, please? Ace of Cups. Oh, okay. That's pretty specific. Because I was looking at the board and thinking to myself, there's a lot of people. There's a lot of people here. So what just went through my mind before I pulled this was, I would like to know. I mean, we think about pages as messengers, right? That's what they do. They can represent people coming in. We also have Queen energy here. We have the High Priestess. So, you know, it's like there's a lot of people on the board. And I wanted to understand, what does that mean for you in terms of specificity? And I do feel like there's going to be either offers of friendship, love, romance, connection of some kind. But these are things that are going to come from spirit and in ways you can't see, right? The aces to me are, you know, gifts from spirit. They're not necessarily gifts through people. But I think of it as like the orchestrating events or orchestrating impulse to do something that connects you somewhere to something. I think if you have fears of repeats from the past, your energy is more balanced right now. Your energy is more balanced. So if you have a fear, like I'm seeing this like latent fear of like, well, it was really bad before and I, you know, withheld not to harm people, but like holding on to my own energy to cultivate it with greater depth for me. Is that going to happen again? Because like the Five of Swords is also being really hard on yourself for the things that didn't go right. Right, that's what this is. And one of the things um, that I've seen Sand Tarot do is talk about the Five of Swords as like grace, and like it's in the Good Tarot deck that she does this, but talking about grace and just the way that, like, you know, there's a lot of grace this week with Jupiter yesterday too, and Jupiter here again with the wheel. But I think it's just like there's so much that you can account for, but grace touches everything else, right? It just does everything else. I'm hearing play ball because of Aunt Bethany. I can't unhear that with Grace. Grace died years ago. Oh my God, that movie. Christmas Vacation, for those who are wondering. I will watch that if I'm having a bad day sometimes because it is just that kind of good. Yeah, I feel like there's something about this energy, not like it's like you've passed the cycle. So don't let your energy sit in that place because there's like more growth breaking the surface, right? Like there's a lot under the surface, but there's more breaking the surface because of where you've been and also a bit where you are with your energy right now. Wow, the sun. I just asked internally, what is it that we're embracing as part of these, you know, these options and dreaming something bigger? And that's where the sun kind of connects to your happiness. Getting the sun twice is no small thing. 2233 was just on the time. Yeah. It's not just about pulling happiness here. The context here is that you may feel like there are so many different paths to take, and I know certainly I feel like that right now, right? Like I'm, you know, had a kind of a brainwave about, oh, I could teach skills and things like that in course format if I wanted, but then I was like, I had a list of like 25 different things that I could actually teach because I've done it. Like I've said yes to so many things in my life that it gives me a depth of knowledge about all these different things, and I was like, shit, how do I what? Like where do I even start with that? So it's like I think that part of this is kind of a call to ground your energy into something. It's a call to ground your energy into something. And I know the Page of Cups isn't typically a grounding energy, right? Because this almost looks like liftoff. But I'm seeing it as like in order to access this like lighter offering. One second. My neighbor was outside and it was creeping me out a little bit. I could hear him like clearing his throat and stuff. And I know I love tarot, but I just didn't want it was, yeah, anyways. I don't know what he's doing out there. It's pretty early, but they're good peeps. So anyways, I just think that this is giving you greater access to your joy. But it needs to be anchored. And the reason why I say anchored is just because so what I'm seeing here is the red, right? There's like root chakra energy in this, root center energy in this. And I think what that's doing is like, it's you need to ground your ideas into something. There's going to be one that's maybe more grounded than others. What that means is different for everybody. And like nebulous advice like that just is like, ugh, what does it even mean, right? But I think the specificity will come when you give yourself a moment to just dream, right? When you give yourself a moment to it's like flirting with ideas, but the way I'm looking at it is like, when's the last time that you sat in your yard and just stared at the clouds? Right? When's the last time that you just sat at a park and stared at the clouds? When's the last time that you did those things? Because I feel like it's like that releasing energy where, and thinking about, when you go to the cottage, for example, it's like it's a different time altogether. Like you're not operating on like regular time, not just because you're on vacation, but because there's this connection to there's like a connection to a bigger picture outside of this like confinement of everyday life. And you can build a life outside of that, yes, but it's just a different time. And I think it's like being called back to that, being called to doing things that pull you into that timeless state, because that is a form of grounding, in a way, because instead of being carried away by the noise of ticking clocks and all of that stuff, it's like it's helping you to anchor into more. I just heard, how will you know? And then I was looking at this and the Fool specifically, and I heard, how will you know? And then these flipped out together in the deck here, which is the World, the King of the World, the Knight of Pentacles, and the Five of Wands again. I feel like you'll know based on the one that feels like you can build upon. Like there's a process that emerges from it, whatever this idea or work is. Could be a relationship too, right? There's something about process oriented, not methodical, because you don't want to get into a place of like turning a relationship into a project management thing, right? Like that's yikes. It's not good. But I think whatever resonates in a way that makes you feel like you're not just starting something new, right? You're starting something that has the potential to grow, that has that like anchored pentacularity. That's shit that I made up and people can fucking run with it and take it. I don't care. Like pentacularity, because it's a thing, right? But I feel like it'll feel like less effort, but not less work. It's just like, it's the right kind of work where it's like you're building something with others. Excuse me. You're building something with others. You're building something for yourself. And I think you feel hopeful. There's reason to hope. The Three of Wands is not so much hope, it's like a certainty, but there's the way this is coming across is like it is inflected with hope. We have the Seven of Wands. Spirit, what messages do you have for my daily creatives? The Chariot. There's the Cancerian energy. I feel like you're ready. Like you're ready for something, to take something on. Something is like headed your way. But it's not even headed your way. I feel like you're the Chariot. I feel like you're showing up in this Chariot energy. The architect of something. So interesting. What just came through was this Four of Pentacles, right? These two together, there's a pentacle around the Chariot's neck. And it's sort of like this thing that you've been hanging on to. There's something that you were hanging on to, or that you were keeping just for yourself. in terms of energy, this could be just a habit that you have, like a good one, like going out to nature, going for walks, it's like little things that you keep for yourself for the joy of it. And I feel like it's part of, um, instead of seeing it in this holding back, I feel like it's becoming a part of something more integral and bigger than you and helping you to build upon that, right? Um, it's helping you to build upon that in service to something more. And I say in service because the Three of Pentacles is about foundation building, it's about creativity, but in the traditional Rider Waite, it's also a kind of service to something bigger than yourself in the 3D, right? It's almost like just this, I'm seeing this like process of an idea concretizing into something um, really well balanced, but you have to trust that you're capable and that you're ready for what this is. If it's just dating and stuff like that, it's one thing, but I feel like there's like an idea that you're flirting with, or ideas. Um, there's so much on your side for this. Just to, in terms of signs, we have Gemini, Libra, I'll say Cancer, Pisces. We do have Cancerian energy in the Chariot here. We have some air energy with the Fool. And we have the Empress energy, which represents Venus. We also have Leo with the Sun, Jupiter, and that can be Pisces and Sagittarian energy, and the High Priestess as well, which is beautiful here. So realistically, and sorry, we have the World, which is also Saturn. It's almost like instead of crossing the finish line, it's like crossing the starting line. That's what I'm getting. But you're ready. Like this could even just be like taking on a new hobby, like knitting or something like that. And it sounds kind of funny, like, but knitting can open up so many things because then you can make gifts for others. It connects you to people. I have a blanket that my aunt knitted for me, and I have scarves. My best friend, she knitted a whole bunch of stuff, so I have hats. I have a scarf that I love. It reminds me of those like neon center Oreos from like the 90s. They were probably so bad for you though, but like it reminds me of that. And I have another blanket that someone knitted for me and a sweater. Like it's just, I don't know why knitting. It could just be stitching something together that connects the bigger picture or connects you to others, something that you're offering. I also think of this as a knitting card. I don't know. But yeah, I feel like there's a lot that is becoming more available to you in your energy. So let's pull an affirmation card here. Spirit, what messages do you have for my daily creatives for August 12th? I welcome miracles into my life. And there's a heart on that too. Be open to miracles today. You will experience a miracle each time you decide to let life love you a little bit more than before. And what kind of miracle is better than that, really, right? Okay. Hope floats. Dear you, oh my, things are stirred up and change is upon you. Yeah, I've been crossing the starting line, right? This is cause for celebration. No need to be nervous, but know that it's okay to be afraid when faced with the uncertainties of life. The funny thing is that courage doesn't get mustered in the absence of fear, rather in spite of it or even because of it. Step into the unknown now, let go of the branch you are clinging to, and let Spirit take the wheel and help steer you to your highest good and most wonderful adventure. All you need to concern yourself with is choosing courage as your ally. Leave the rest up to us. There is a load of miracles being shipped your way. Remember what philosopher Joseph Campbell said? Take one step toward the gods and they will take 10 towards you. We're all doing the Destiny Cha-Cha on your behalf. That's right. Don't be afraid to dance. Yeah. Dang, that's awesome. Well, my darlings, that is your daily creative reading. Whatever this means for you, I feel like there's some big shifts happening. And I think it's also just part of the full moon in Aquarius energy, right? Like releasing. And then, it's like part of the starting line. Like when you begin, we think of the new moon as beginnings, but I think that you can begin anytime. I just think about this as like the release that happens the moment that you cross the starting line, where all of the things that told you that you couldn't get to that point now fall away because you're doing it. Where the things that there are certain aspects of yourself, or stories that you've told about yourself, or even to yourself, that suddenly fall away the moment that you cross the starting line. And that's really the image that I'm getting right now, as opposed to a finish, which is what people typically associate with the full moon. But it's all of the things that are no longer true or no longer serve you the moment that you start something, the moment that you're in new seasons. Interesting. I'm hearing foliage. Foliage and evergreen. Okay. That is all for today, my friends. If this resonated, give it a like and subscribe. I'd love to have you on the channel. If there are other videos you want to check out, please feel free to do that as well. But if this is where we part, I hope that wherever this finds you on the time-space continuum, morning, afternoon, or night, it finds you very, very well, my friends. Take care.